and welcome to my channel. I am here to educate you today on anemia. Well, I acquired anemia when I ripped something in my stomach from stretching. I ripped something right here in my right upper quadrant, and it felt like it had collapsed. And so I went to the doctor, the hospital basically, and they gave me a CT scan, and the CT scan showed nothing up on it. So I just went home that night, and I could feel my intestines moving inside of me. It felt like snakes. It hurt really, really bad on my right upper quadrant, and I knew something was really wrong. I actually thought I was going to die. But the doctor said everything's fine when I went to the hospital. You know, they didn't find where the bleed was coming from. So basically, I said, okay, whatever. I went home, scared to death, went to sleep, thought I was going to die, but didn't die. Woke up the next day, and I had these severely loud bowel sounds. Okay, really loud. So I went to another hospital, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. You know, they did a CT scan on my stomach and everything again, but yet they could not find out what was wrong with me. So they still admitted me into the hospital to see another doctor the next day. That whole night I had loud bowel sounds. It sounded like somebody was flushing a toilet like 100 million times. It was that loud. Then I had severe diarrhea, but the diarrhea wasn't like poop. It was like green bile coming out of my rear end. Anyways, I got in a fight with a nurse at the hospital, right? And ended up getting kicked out of the hospital. So I left. They gave me some kind of weird medication that made me almost faint. I had to take a cab home. They made me take a cab home that night from the hospital. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, by the way. And so I went home that night, and the CT scans, you know, they didn't pick up anything. What was wrong? Well, the next day I started to get severely bad burning in my stomach. I'm not talking just your common heartburn. I'm talking complete stomach burn, heartburn, and belly burn. It was severe. It felt like someone poured full-blown acid down my throat and into my intestines, okay? So basically, I was in a lot of pain. So I went to Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. When I get to Mayo Clinic, they gave me this thing called a GI cocktail, which is 3 different types of antacids that you drink, and it's supposed to cool it off, and it did. But I was in a lot of pain. It felt like I had burned a hole in my intestines, okay? Anyways, they let me go out of the hospital that day. After they Baker acted me for 3 days because I was in so much pain, and I was praying in the hospital, and they said I was schizophrenic because I was praying in the hospital. So they were totally non-Christian, and they basically Baker acted me. They persecuted me. To make a long story short, they Baker acted me against my will. I was Baker acted for 3 days, traveled 60 miles west to a Baker Act unit, where I stayed there for 3 days, okay? After that had happened, 3 days had passed, the elixir had cooled it down a little bit, but it still felt like I had a hole. I mean, it felt like I literally had a hole in my intestine to where I could feel it in my back, okay? It hurt bad. I thought I was gonna die. So anyways, time had passed, a couple days had passed, and so I developed black stool, okay? And the black stool went on for about 6 months. I went to the doctor, they stuck their finger up my rectum, they checked it on a, you know, scan. They said they see no blood. So they said I'm not bleeding from my rectum, but yet black stool indicates that you're bleeding from your upper digestive tract. Okay, so time had passed. I started getting dizzy spells, like really dizzy. I'd be driving my car, and all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, I'm about to faint. Jesus help me. Jesus help me. Jesus help me. And Jesus did help me. And he made me straighten up. Finally, I made it to a gas station. I said, Jesus, please just let me make it to a gas station. And he did. I parked my car at the gas station and I called 911, and the 911 came and got me. Baptist Medical Center, Jacksonville, Florida. And I was burning all in here, dizziness, about to faint, everything. I get into the hospital, I'm in agonizing pain, okay? Burning, dizziness, everything. From the, ripped area that I ripped in here. From doing stretches. Anyways, basically at Baptist Hospital downtown Jacksonville, I was screaming in pain for probably 30 minutes or so before they gave me an antacid. As soon as they gave me the antacid, they told the guy, the transport guy, get this girl out of our hospital and get her out now. We'll pay for the cab, just get her out, because if she dies, we don't want to be responsible for her death. Look what America has come to, okay? Persecuting Christians. When they could easily fix it, okay? Anyways, they told me to go to a GI doctor and so on and so forth. So that's what I did. I got sent home that day in a cab. I took the antacid. It cooled it off for the night. I made an appointment with the GI doctor called Borland and Gruber Clinic of Jacksonville, downtown Jacksonville. And they got me an appointment to get an endoscopy. Oh, let me tell you. They did the endoscopy, but the endoscopy only goes down the throat and into the stomach. It does not go to the duodenum, the gingiva, and then the small bowel. And basically, they did the, endoscopy in my throat, and they did not see any bleeding in my stomach. They said everything was fine, everything went good, there ain't no bleeding in your stomach. I said, okay, that's a good thing. I said, but I'm still in pain, and I'm still having black stools, and I'm still having dizziness, and I'm still having fainting. My blood pressure's still low, 88/44. I'm still having shortness of breath, and all that. And they said, okay, go get a colonoscopy. So I went and got a colonoscopy. They stick it 5 feet into your rectum. So they gave me a colonoscopy. They found no polyps, no cancer, no ulcers in my colon, or any of that. Okay? But I'm still having black stool. I'm still having dizziness. I'm still fainting. I'm still having low blood pressure. And I'm just wondering why. So I go to my doctor, my primary care physician, and she said, you're anemic. I said, I am? She said, yes, you are. I said, oh, well, that must tell you why I'm having all these symptoms. I'm losing blood. I'm anemic. But they said, well, this looks like maybe a iron, folic acid, and B12 deficiency. So I decided, okay, I'll take your advice. Maybe it is. I'll take iron, folic acid, and B12. And so I did, and so I did, and so I did. Every day I took it. Started it once a day. Then it became twice a day. Then it became 3 times a day. Then I took it for like 6 months. And it would not heal my anemia because I had blood loss anemia. I did not have iron deficient, folic acid, and B12 deficiency. I had blood loss anemia, okay? From an ulcer in the small bowel, okay? I live in Jacksonville, Florida, by the way. Anyways, time had passed, and I'm dealing with it, I'm learning to just stay in the bed because I'm so dizzy. I can't walk. I get short of breath. I'm about to faint. I can't drive. It's scary. Okay? It's just scary. Weakness, tiredness, fatigue like no other. I'm talking sleeping most of the day, if you know what I mean. So basically, I go back to the GI doctor and I tell him I am anemic. And they said, you're not that anemic. It's not causing too many symptoms. I'm like, yeah, it is. They're like, whatever. I said, can't you do an enteroscopy on me? And an enteroscopy is a procedure in which they go into the stomach, into the duodenum, and then into the small bowel. And they check the whole small bowel, which is about 20 foot long, with a camera to see if there's any bleeding. But they would not do that for me. Understand? They refused. Baptist Hospital flat out refused to give me an enteroscopy. Okay? So time had went on, and I said, well, I'm just going to go to another city, and I'm going to go to another hospital. Well, guess what? My feet started to get really cold. I wasn't getting no blood circulation to my feet. And it became cold. It became freezing, like Antarctica. Like someone had just dipped my feet in a frozen pond in Antarctica or Canada in midwinter. I mean, it was that cold. All of a sudden, the coldness began to rise up my legs, right? And all of a sudden, I'm laying on the bed and I can't breathe. I could not breathe. I opened my mouth, I could not breathe. I sat up, I opened my mouth again to breathe and could not breathe. I sat up a little taller and took a breath, and on the third breath, I got my breath back again. But nobody noticed it, not a nurse or not a doctor. They treated me like complete crap at the Flagler Hospital south of Jacksonville, Florida. And so basically, nobody witnessed that I actually stopped breathing and started breathing again. So, basically, I left there. I thought I was gonna die. I asked them, give me iron, folic acid, B12, you know, maybe that might help, who knows? And I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was fixing to die. So I literally got up and walked out that hospital. Made it back to my home city, which is Jacksonville, Florida, which is 60 miles north of St. Augustine, Florida. And they said, everything's fine with you at this other hospital. You can go home now. So I went home, and I'm lucky I survived that night, okay? Time had passed, and the blood circulation got worse. It became choppy in my feet, and it rose up to my legs. It rose up to my hips. So I go back to my favorite hospital, Baptist Hospital. It's the Disney World of Hospitals of Jacksonville. Okay? So I go back to that hospital, and basically I got a good doctor this time. His name was Dr. Chandler. He's an old man. He works at Baptist. He's the best one that you'll find there in the emergency physician department. Anyways, he let me lay there in the bed without discharging me until I felt better, then he would discharge me. So anyways, all had bad circulation. The blood circulation stopped from my feet, up to my knees, up to my hips, up to my waist, and it was an inch away from my heart. But Dr. Chandler got off at 7 o'clock in the morning, or Chambliss, or whatever his name is. He's an old man. And I felt a miracle literally take place in the hospital room, where I felt the blood beginning. Well, I kept praying and praying to God, you know, to Jesus. And I began to feel like an angel, like come and they like push the blood back into my body. And then it began to run down my legs again, and then into my feet again. I had received a miracle of God that night. And I was so glad. And God knew that Dr. Chandler, or Chambliss, or whatever his name is, shift was over at 7 o'clock in the morning because they work from 7 to 7, you know. So anyways, basically, he came in at 7 o'clock and said, are you feeling better? I said, yes, sir, I am. I am feeling better now. I could feel my legs again. I could feel my feet again. He said, okay, do you think you're ready to go home? I said, yeah, I think I am. So I get my stuff, and I go home, feeling just fine, because I got a miracle of God. And then anyways, months had passed again, and it came back again. I got the bad choppy circulation in my feet, bad choppy circulation in my legs, bad choppy circulation in my hips, all the way up to my waist. And when I went back to Baptist Hospital, because I had probably been there 150 times, I got this one doctor I did not like. Every time I went in there, she's got like long brown hair, white skin, and she wears glasses. Every time I went in there, she would always say, you're just having an anxiety attack. There's nothing wrong with you. Go home. You know? And I was like, oh, no, she didn't. You know? So I'm going into the hospital with this mega complaint, like I'm fixing to die, you know. And she goes, oh, good. I look at her. Basically, this is what happened. I look at her, and I'm like, oh, no, you are not my doctor. Okay? I got up out of faith. I said, there is no way I'm going to listen to this lying doctor, white lady with the glasses and the brown long hair, tell me this is anxiety, okay? So I went home that night. And when I went home that night, I laid down in my bed. Because there's nothing I could do. Both of my legs were like almost completely paralyzed because I had no blood in them. And it was numb all the way up to my waist. Okay, it was an inch away from my heart. This is the closest I had ever been to death before. And I kept praying to God. I kept saying, God, please don't let this hit my heart. Please don't let it hit my heart. I cannot bear the pain. It's too much for me to handle. And if I could compare the pain, I got a glimpse at the pain. I didn't have to literally go through the pain, but I got a glimpse of it. Okay? And the glimpse of the pain that I got was as big as this earth. Okay? The pain was as big as this earth and as big as the sky and as big as the whole atmosphere. If I could compare to tell you how much pain I was in 1 to infinity, the pain would have been infinity. Okay? -1. Because infinity itself would have been +1. So infinity -1. That is how much pain I was in, and that's how close I came to dying. But God, the creator of heaven and earth, Jesus Christ, He answered my prayer, because I remember what He said. He said, come to me all ye who are heavy laden and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. And so I said to God, I said, God, I come to you, because you said, come to me all ye who are heavy burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And so I said, God, I come to you now, and I ask you, God, to put my life in your hands. I give my life to you, God. I give my life and I put it in your hands. And I ask you to please do not let this hit my heart. So I went to sleep that night, thinking, didn't know what was going to happen to me. Okay? And I woke up the next morning alive. Praise be to the Lord Jesus. Okay? I woke up the next morning. I could feel my legs. I could feel my feet. I could feel my whole body again. Because Jesus answered my prayer to not let it hit my heart. Because I could not bear the pain. Thank you, Jesus. And this is from anemia. This is from blood loss anemia. Reduced red blood cell anemia from an ulcer I have in my small bowel, which Baptist Hospital of Jacksonville, Florida flat out refuses to fix it. And they are the Disney World of hospitals right here in Jacksonville, Florida. They have the best equipment and all the new technologies right there at Baptist Hospital, downtown Jacksonville, Florida. And they flat out refuse to give me an enteroscopy to fix my ulcer, which is bleeding, which gives me, weakness, fatigue. I can't really do much. I basically stay at home all the time, in bed most of the time, have to have people do my grocery shopping for me and stuff like that. Okay? They said, your blood count is not low enough to be that badly anemic. I said, well, maybe not for you, but for me, people are not all the same. We're all different. Our bodies are all different. A cold might kill someone down the street, while a cold won't do nothing to me. So, I'm here to spread the word that America is persecuting Christians. They are not giving them proper health care, even if they do have health insurance. And they refuse to help Christians. I'm spreading the word, okay? That America's medical system is persecuting Christians. And I'm also here to spread the word that our judicial system is persecuting Christians. And I'm also here to spread the word that our mental wards are persecuting Christians for praying in the hospital, and they turn around and say, you know, this person's talking to a wall, or this person's got schizophrenia when you're praying, you know, and they sit there and they Baker act you. That's what they did to me. They persecuted me without my will. That was not my will to be Baker acted, but they Baker acted me anyways. So I'm here to share my story with you, Christians, and also share my story with you that have blood loss anemia. Jesus Christ is your answer. And if you have a small bowel ulcer, you're going to need an enteroscopy. Not an endoscopy, not a colonoscopy, but an enteroscopy. Enteroscopy, which goes down into the small bowel and looks for bleeding ulcers in the small bowel. But Baptist Hospital of Jacksonville, Florida, downtown, flat out refuses to give me an enteroscopy. And the reason why is because I'm a Christian. Okay? It has affected my heart to where I cannot walk that far anymore. I get short of breath. I can't hardly walk anymore. I get dizzy, almost faint. So basically, I stay at home all the time and lay in my bed most of the time, or play on my computer most of the time. So I wanted to share this with you guys that have blood loss anemia, and also share with you guys that America persecutes Christians through the medical field, through the judicial system, and through the mental system. They persecute us that way. It is not documented through the publicity, you know, through the newscast, because America is looked up to as the news channel of the world. But what they don't know is America's got dirt on their own self, and they don't want to expose it. And that's why I'm here to expose the dirt of America to you. America's persecuting Christians. Not only Turkey, not only Saudi Arabia, not only Iraqi. America itself is persecuting the Christians. And I like to share it with you. They may not look like they are doing it, because they do it in a nice way, but they're still doing it. So I'm here to share that with you from heart to heart, Christian to Christian, person to person, human to human, human to human, humanity to humanity. I'm here to share this true story with you. Praise be to the Lord that I am alive right now. Okay, because I have blood loss anemia. If you have any of these symptoms, you have blood loss anemia. I'm going to give you the symptoms right now. If you have dizziness, if you have black stool, if you have blood coming out your throat, if you have cold feet all the time and bad blood circulation in your feet all the time, or at least half the time, low blood pressure, and extreme fatigue, you have got blood loss anemia. Now, if you got iron, folic acid, and B12 deficiency anemia, you will not have these symptoms. And if you do have these symptoms from folic acid, iron, and B12 deficiencies, you can correct them with iron, folic acid, and B12. But if it's not corrected through the vitamins, which they tell you to take, it is because you have blood loss anemia, which will kill you. All right, I'm 33 years old. My life has been changed over the past 2 years, and I'm here to share my story with you. Check it out. Check your stool. See if it's black, because if it is, that indicates you got bleeding in your upper digestive tract. If you have blood coming out your butt, that means you have blood coming out your colon. All right? And that is blood loss anemia. If you do not have either or of them, then maybe you do have iron, folic acid, and B12 deficiency. But this is a serious, serious matter. So I just wanted to share my story with you about blood loss anemia and all the symptoms that go with it. Thank you. And you have a great day. God bless you. Seek God. Seek Jesus Christ. He's the only one who can help you. When no one else is there to help you, Jesus Christ is there to help. Call upon him, because he's there always. Amen. You have a blessed night. Goodbye now.